Hey, it's James and Justin from Competition Subaru, and we are looking at the 2024 Forester. And last week we have gotten our first brand new redesigned 2025 Forester. We have examples of both of them here, both sport models with the Sapphire Blue Pearl paint. And we are going to do a comparison video to show you a little bit about some of the changes with the exterior, the interior, go over some of the mechanical differences, as well as a couple of observations we have about them.
And right over here, you can see this is the new 2025 Forester Sport. It's debuting with its new grille in the front, new headlight design, new grille design. Whole car's been remodeled for 30 years. They've sold more than 2.6 million of these in the United States, and we anticipate this car to be a real big seller. Based on the fact that you still have all the Subaru cues, it still has a familiar look, but completely updated, modernized, and revised for 2025.
100%. The Subaru Forester has always been one of our best-selling models. There are a lot of differences to cover in this full redesign, but one of my favorites personally is the look of the headlights. You could definitely tell in the 2025 that it's a little bit more of a streamlined look, and me personally, I love the fact that they got away from the chrome and there's just black and white on the headlight of this sport model.
And the headlights also extend a little bit nicer and a little bit more fluid into the front of the grille. It almost makes up now a part of the styling with the grille, where before in the previous model, they were kind of disjointed. The new grille is significantly larger, integrates the new Subaru logo into the front of it, and then you have the tie-in for the bottom with the new fog lights. The whole front end is just a much more aggressive look, subdued still, and you still get that Subaru vibe when you're looking at it.
Going to the side of the car, you have these fender arches similar to what you have in the WRX. They're much more angular on this car rather than round on the previous generation. They also have that vent over there. Also the wheels are different across the board on the new Forester. You have 17-inch wheels that come on the base as well as the premium. Then you have 19-inch wheels that are available on the Sport as well as the Touring, and an 18-inch wheel to round that out on the limited model. On the Sport model, you have the bronze finish on a 19-inch wheel, which looks really cool.
And that carries over really well into the integration of the bronze color down here below on the doors. Stretches down the side, gives a real modern, fresh look. They've even integrated that color into the badging on the side, which is also new and unique now to the Forester model over here, where you see the symmetrical all-wheel drive system. You still retain the nice large windows, which these cars are known for. The Forester is known to have great sight lines, great visibility, limited if almost no blind spots, and you still have the large massive windows on the side. Driving this car over here today, it's just a great field of view no matter which direction you look, particularly out the back glass. They've made that so you could see perfectly out the back. Another big change here, you could see in the roof racks on the top. These are integrated into the vehicle now on the top. Much more streamlined, much more modern looking, and just a better presentation overall. Moving to the inside of the new 2025 Forester, as we open the doors, there's a lot of changes here happening that are pretty apparent as soon as I get in here. First of all, looking at the trim now on the inside, it was all redone. Again, carrying through with the theme of the bronze, it carries into the door panel up here on the top. Subaru also integrated now at the bottom over here, a little scuff protector, because I know my kids at home, when they're opening doors, love to use their foot to open the door. So that's just a nice way to protect the inside of the bottom portion of the door. Looking on the inside of the car here, the biggest change you're going to notice, particularly on the Sport model, is now the integration of the StarTex seating material, which is Subaru's proprietary non-leather material. Looks and feels like leather, but without any of the drawbacks of leather. You're not going to have cracking, fading, peeling, or anything like that. You can clean it with a regular detergent, and in addition to that, it is water resistant. So it's designed to hold up really well. You can throw your boots on it, you can throw your muddy jacket on it. It's not going to be much of an issue. But all of this stuff now ties in beautifully. You have the bronze accents down here, the bronze stitching. Really came together really nice.
There's a couple of interesting design accents. If we take a look at the steering wheel or even the trim on the side of the car or the stitching, that bronze color extends from the outside to the inside of the car, as we can see. There's a couple nice little details that just kind of step it up in terms of styling. I like the chrome little knob for the AC vents, and the AC vents themselves will look a little bit more trendy and interesting to look at. There's this wavy sort of pattern on the dashboard right above the bronze accent we referenced earlier, which I like a lot. The door as well as the seat looks nice. Everything else in here is fairly standard practice for a Subaru, and obviously there's the new big screen that you see in all of the other cars that we have that has Apple CarPlay and all the other features that are expected. The X mode is still available on this car, and there's a couple of different driving modes that change the driving characteristics of the car. Also in the back seat, we have Justin back there. How's the room?
There's plenty of room back here. I have 2 USB ports conveniently located right here. I have my adjustments for my AC and my heat right here. Some nice pockets to store magazines, paperwork, anything I need to put back here. Again, the StarTex seats are very comfortable and supportive. It is stadium seating, so I have a good commanding view of the road. Nice big windows. All of the trim and accents that you see in the front of the car with the stitching, bronze trim along the top of the door panel, all carry through. It's a real comfortable place to be. I got a nice grab handle. Plenty of room for me back here. James, how tall are you? 5'10"?
Yes.
And you're in your normal seating position?
Yep.
And I have a solid 10 inches in front of me in this back seat. There's plenty of room. And you could easily fit 3 adults back here.
And if you don't need the rear seats, you can just fold the seats down and use it as cargo space.
Absolutely. Very comfortable back here.
The new 25 Forester also carries some positive changes to the back of the car too. You'll notice that there's a color match spoiler as opposed to the black one that's on the 2024 Forester. What I also like is the design of the taillights is really awesome. There's this gray accent that carries through that I think looks really, really nice. A little bit more subtle than what's on the previous model of Forester. I love how the taillights transition into this trim piece that actually sticks out a little bit and has this really cool look to it, and the emblem is built into it. And speaking of the emblems, we have the Subaru and the Sport, which are in this matte black color, which is really cool. The Forester is actually embossed into the tailgate of the car. That's no longer a logo, which I think is really, really nice. The bronze color carries into the back around the bumper over here, and you have a really nice aggressive look. To me, it looks a little bit wider than the previous Forester.
And when you come to the rear of the car and you open up the trunk now, Subaru has made better use of virtually the same amount of space. They've increased the tie-down hooks in the back for more convenience if you do have to tie down cargo in the back. They've also integrated the scuff protection here on the wheel wells, so if things shift around and move in the back, you're less likely to scratch up the interior. You still have your 60/40 fold-down seats. You have your cargo cover over here. And what's nice, Subaru still continues to give you a spare tire. In 2025, you're not really seeing that often anymore, and Subaru still gives you a spare tire. So in the event you do get a flat on the side of the road, you just call your roadside assistance. They'll come and change the tire for you. Subaru also made a little bit of a detail here on the back protection. This car happens to have a rear bumper cover, which also protects the top of the bumper from scratches when you're loading and unloading. We have the cargo cover, which integrates nice as well. This can be removable if you have to. It's just a real nice design. Subaru did retain the nice convenient LED light back here in the top, which is nice for when you're working at night, if you're loading this car at a campsite or something along those lines. What they did change, which is very welcome, is that they've now changed the headliner and all the trim pieces on the top to a darker color. This is almost like a charcoal black. And what this means is when you're loading the vehicle, put a bike in there, large pieces of anything, you're not going to scuff the ceiling. In the previous generation, you could see it was a light color. And although it did work, the headliner, if you scuff something on it, it wouldn't look as good. So this nice new dark color definitely, again, adds to the modern new look of the Subaru and is welcome.
So we're driving the 2025 Subaru Forester. This is very exciting because this is the first time we've had a redesign of the Forester since late 2018. So that's a nice big difference.
It's a pretty bumpy, broken up road, and you can feel it actually.
Yeah, well, the first thing that comes to our attention here is that the car is actually surprisingly quiet. As you said, this is a bumpy road, and this car really is not making a heck of a lot of noise. It feels pretty smooth, again, in comparison to the previous generation Forester right in front of us there. So, yeah, I mean, that's a nice observation to start it out here.
Seats are great.
Yeah, seats feel comfortable.
Good bolstering on the side without being obnoxious, where you would be uncomfortable, but it holds you pretty well. I don't know if you
it's supportive.
And they've also, supposedly they've reduced the amount of material up here on the top so you have a better view to the back, but I don't feel it. It's grabbing me in all the right places. Yeah, that boxer engine, there it is.
There you go. I mean, it feels about the same, probably just a touch quicker, which is surprising. because it's 2 horsepower less than the predecessor model, but it feels pretty smooth. And again, you feel the vibrations quite a bit less. I mean, that was probably 70–80% throttle right there, and you really didn't feel much from the drivetrain. But it carried you pretty quickly to 60 miles per hour there, and it feels really nice.
Yeah, you can definitely tell that Subaru invested a lot to make the car quieter and smoother. It's
try to refine the car.
It's completely apparent.
Yeah,
Very similar to what they did with the last Outback and now the newer Crosstrek. It's a major difference in how smooth and quiet the car is. As a passenger, I could feel how rigid the chassis is in this car. It just feels solid.
With every new redesign, you assume that the car is a little bit heavier, but you really don't feel much of a change in the weight or performance.
What I actually liked, and I was surprised, was the steering feel when I drove it before. It's tight. It has a nice road feel to it. And I believe it has to do with the components from the WRX being carried over into the steering system of this car. You could definitely feel the road, and it doesn't feel over boosted. It has a nice connection to the road.
Yeah, the Bridgestone tires feel really nice. That's probably a step up also. And the 19-inch wheels. You have a little bit more wheeled, a little bit less sidewall.
How do you find the visibility?
Visibility is fantastic. The visibility is pretty comparable to the old car in about every way, but the major difference is definitely that rear window. It's much bigger, and you can really see a lot out of it. It goes down a little bit further than the previous model, and you can definitely see quite a bit out of the back of the car, which is unusual and always a weak point for many cars.
It's so quiet.
It really is. You could hear a pin drop when you're sitting at idle.
And this car has the Sport Tune suspension, which for the first time, Sport isn't just a badge. Now the car actually has this suspension tuned, so you're getting more of a performance-oriented ride in the Forester. And it feels pretty grippy. I mean, again, it's not a WRX, but for an SUV, definitely rides and handles really well.
So the suspension in conjunction with the Sport mode, which changes the CVT settings a little bit, it definitely feels a little bit more athletic and a little bit more aggressive. As I said before, the power going onto a straightaway, there's not a lot there, but what the car does have is a very smooth power band. Yeah, wow, the car really doesn't feel like it's trying very hard. Again, that's only probably 30% throttle right there, but you don't feel that the car is really trying to get me to 50 miles per hour. It was just kind of smoothly doing its thing. When you have a smaller engine with less power, usually you hear that the engine feels a little taxed, and it really doesn't with this car.
You're still getting fantastic gas mileage.
Just to go over some of the safety merits that this car has earned over the years, it has had, was it 17 years?
17 years up to 2024, top safety pick rated by IIHS, which is more than any other vehicle in its class, making this one of the safest cars on the road. And we absolutely anticipate that this car will just continue along those lines, if not maybe even do better.
Yeah, I mean, it should at least do as well as the previous ones, we would think. We know that the IIHS has been stepping up some of their tests, modernizing them a little bit, and this car was redesigned just in time to try to cater to a lot of the new tests that they're doing.
And part of the safety features on this car that's going to translate, obviously, crumple zones. These big windows really do make a difference.
Yeah.
Being able to see what's happening around you makes a big difference. It does have the new upgraded eyesight system, faster processing speed, wider view. The car is just built with safety in mind, just like every other Subaru. Obviously, we have the all-wheel drive system, which helps in all weather, not just snow and rain, but dry pavement as well. So safety is always at the forefront of everything Subaru designs, and we anticipate this car is going to do really well with all of the crash tests through Insurance Institute. And come on down, check it out, see what it drives like. It drives fantastic.
Just to show off one of our favorite color options in this car, new for 2025 is River Rock Pearl, which is a color that's offered on the new Forester. It may be hard to see in the videos, but it's a little bit of a metallic-y, a light gray or darker silver, a really nice color in person. I also saw this on the touring model at the New York Auto Show, and it looked really nice with the 19-inch polished wheels, silver wheels, which I thought looked really good with this color combo. And that one had brown interior, which was exquisite. But definitely one of the better color options for this car, and new for 2025.